Welcome, welcome. This is the OK Conversation on OKFM 99.5. My name is Julius J. We have with us Chief Imam Ali Kryee. Once in a while, he takes on to an interview. We are privileged to have him here today, and we appreciate that he accepted our invite to be here. Welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
How is life going? How are things?
We are okay. We are okay. Thank God.
I we will start like this. A whole lot has been happening. The land mosque issue in Redlight. We may not have the very big details. Let me know the names of those who are here. Just make sure. The entities who will be able to announce them later. Um, uh, and a whole lot of people in the public. I don't have half information, no information, little information, but it's a very confusing scenario out of red light. I want to give you like 7 to 10 minutes to really bring us up to speed, uninterrupted, unhindered. What is going on?
Well, I should first try to confirm the format for this discussion because it's a very, very serious and sensitive discussion. And that is why, like we discussed yesterday, we said we should go for at least 1 hour and that we should be allowed to flow for up to 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Because
I think you can do that in 10 minutes. Yeah, you can.
there are issues. There are issues that were raised. And I'm not the kind of person that is fond of speaking repeatedly. I hardly talk to the media. And when the opportunity avails itself for us to do so, we like to address some critical issues once and for all.
So you can go ahead,
And
sir.
we'll try to be as brief as possible.
Okay.
And we hope we have the 20 minutes.
Go ahead.
First, we'll be discussing the land dispute. We'll be discussing the very erroneous perception that we were anti the CDC government because it is at the bottom of some of the issues that are being raised here against us. Then we talk about the issue of Islam being held hostage in this country. We discuss that. We also like to discuss the holiday issue, the question of holiday for Muslims. Then we would like to discuss the issue of police brutality in this country. So let me start with the land issue. The interesting thing about this land issue was that all of the people who have been condemning us, insulting us, criticizing us for our statement, for merely not saying one thing, most of them, that's the issue. That was one thing they expected us to say, we did not say. For that, there is one thing that surprised me about all of them. Not a single one mentioned or attempted to appreciate the fact that we, from the very beginning, were the ones that worked hard to prevent the tragedy that occurred. Nobody appreciated the effort we made. To say, oh, Imam, thank you, but no, that thank you was not there. Number two, those who say we were not balanced, talking about balance, that we condemn those who resisted the enforcement of law, but we failed to condemn police brutality. And so they now are trying to be balanced in their view by saying, yes, we condemn the resistance to the enforcement of law, but he should have also condemned the brutality of the police. And I said they are hypocritical. They are being hypocritical. Because this land issue and the resistance to the enforcement of the law did not start in November. It started in late September when the Judge Peter Bedenwele sent his sheriff to ensure that the land was given to the appropriate owner in keeping with the ruling of the Supreme Court. The people resisted. Some of them took court license against law enforcement. Those who are talking about balance today, none of them condemned that act. They were quiet for more than 1 month. They attempted again. When the judge called us, and as I said, Justice Jana was there, you called the conflicting parties, everybody was there, to try to harmoniously look at how we can implement this ruling of the Supreme Court without peace, without violence. The conflicting parties were there, everybody agreed that they should go on peacefully. We went to Muslim Congress the following day, and we prevailed on them with the elders from Muslim Congress and other elders from the communities involved to allow law enforcement to take its course peacefully. They all agreed. And they attempted, and the people resisted again. And the judge called his sheriff to return to him without enforcing the mandate of the Supreme Court. For the second time, they resisted. Those who are claiming impartiality and telling us that we should have been balanced, they didn't condemn it. It is today because they want to get at us that they're now saying, oh, you should have been balanced. No, you should have condemned the first illegality that took place, the resistance to law enforcement, the anarchical behavior of some of the people should have been condemned in the first place. Then you would be justified in criticizing us. But I must say, we deliberately decided not to condemn the police this time. If you listen to my statement, you watch my statement on Anur TV, I stop at where I say anybody that will resist law enforcement, you are not acting in line with the teachings of Islam and you are on your own. It's because we had made effort to prevent chaos. Because in a chaotic situation, anything can happen. And anybody who produces a situation that results into chaos is responsible for any eventuality. And so the responsibility for whatever happened that day falls squarely on those who resisted the law repeatedly, not only on that day. They resisted repeatedly on 2 or 3 different occasions without the sheriff, without the police taking any action. Let's go to the issue of the holiday, because I just want to be brief talk on some of these issues. They claim, some of them that have been insulting us, that since Bouakai came to power, President Bouakai came to power, we've lost our advocacy power. We have not been talking about the Muslim holiday. But Julius, you are a journalist. You know the facts. Because there are clever and persistent attempts to create certain narrative that suits certain interests. Want to know the truth? Because people believe in this country that when they tell lies stubbornly, stubborn liars, when they repeat lies over and over, then the gullible society will believe the lies. And so they say we've not been talking about holidays. And they know the truth. But they deliberately decide to produce a narrative that paints the picture otherwise. Because you know, the strongest statement I've ever made on the issue of holiday for Islam was made this year in May, during the 30th anniversary of the National Imam Council of Liberia at the City Hall. Your journalists were there. Hajjama Makability, the Minister of State with our portfolios, represented the president there. They like to talk about me being an MPA board. The MD of the MPA, Sekou Dukle, was there. I made, the statement is there. I can release it again for you to read, for anybody who has interest to read. The president was supposed to be there. In fact, his advance team went there, but due to some circumstances, they withdrew. And that statement was intended for the president to hear directly. It was still made in the presence of government officials and the media. They hide it. It was in the news. Your radio station carried it. It was in the newspapers. It made headlines. They saw it. But my brother, no matter how much the sun shines, the blind will never see. So we are not responsible for their blindness. But I just want to correct this. This claim that since UP took over, we have not been speaking on holiday question. The most profound statement on the question of holiday in this country was made in the UP regime. Thirdly, when President Bouaka declared the holiday on the 30th of July for fast and prayer, I don't think I've ever been radical in statement on the holiday question than that statement that I released. Go and read my statement on the evening of the 30th of July against the president's declaration of holiday for prayers when Muslims pray 5 times a day. And for God's sake, Muslims have not been given the right to celebrate Eid and Abraham Day in this country as citizens of Liberia. So that CDC narrative that they are carrying, and of course, when I say CDC, I know they are very intelligent people in the CDC, they are good people in the CDC, and this brings me to the issue of Jeff Koji, who was a very good friend of the Muslim community. Yes, he did a lot of good things for the Muslim community. And we all know the annual post-Ramadan iftar he organized at the City Hall. People are familiar with that. So when they are talking about holidays, they should realize that certain factors reduced during the closing days and the beginning days of the Unity Party our ferocity in advocacy for the holiday. The first was betrayal from within. They are all aware that the National Muslim Council of Liberia in 2022, while we're at the forefront, fearlessly advocating for holiday for Muslims, the National Muslim Council condemned us. Those who are talking today did nothing. It was the Muslim Council condemned. And when you are fighting a battle and you are being fought from within, logically you have to retreat, to replan your strategies, to strategize better before you move ahead. We were suffering from betrayal from the Muslim community. Number 2, in 2023, when Jeff Koji organized the post-Ramadan iftar, I raised the issue of the holiday again. But then he said something that was both eye-opening and startling. And this is what we'll review today. They were there. And maybe some of the journalists here will remember. Jeff Koji said that you blame us for not declaring holiday. But Muslims sat in that mansion during the transitional government periods. Alaji Jifi Kurman sat there. Segu Damata Kone sat there. Muslims sat there. They didn't declare holiday for you. So you are being hypocritical in the sense to demand it from us. He talked about Amara Kone and the likes that were in the UP government, etc. That didn't do it. Liberian Post said, my mouth was full. So I said, this is an indictment of the Muslim community, that our wounds are self-inflicted. That it seems we don't even care about ourselves, and yet we blame others for not caring for us. Yet it is our right to demand it. In spite of the fact that some of our own were there and didn't give it to us, we continue to demand it, including this year on 2 different occasions. And we did so fiercely. So that holiday question is handled. The other issue is the issue of police brutality. Why didn't we condemn the police there and then and stop there? Julius, I'm a citizen of Liberia. And Muslims in this country are citizens of Liberia. And that's why we've been advocating. Some of our people erroneously believe that we came from Guinea yesterday. And I'll tell you before, those who said the love of liberty brought us here, before they came here, the Mandingo people were here for more than 100 years. The Mandingo Muslims were here for more than 100 years. Let's set that record straight. But this notion that when something happens to Liberians, generally, other Liberians, whether it's a Bassa or a Gio or a Kra, between Liberian citizens and law enforcement is a matter for the government and civil society. It is not Muslim affairs. It is only when it happens to a Muslim person that a Muslim should not stand up. We have to change that mindset. We are Liberians. And so we say to ourselves, the issue of police brutality will be addressed separately. And it will be addressed holistically. It will not be because an imam has been touched today. People have been brutalized repeatedly. When Comrade Walter Sisulu was mercilessly brutalized in the CDC regime, we didn't say anything. Well, yeah. And no Muslim raised their finger. That was a moral failure on our part. And it's been happening. Mohammed Manabai, last year, was killed in Banjo. I'm not saying harassed. I'm not saying brutalized. He was murdered by a police officer. He was a Muslim. Nobody chanted Takbir. Nobody said Allahu Akbar. District 17 is the largest district in terms of population in this country. The majority of the people in District 17 are Muslims. You don't hear them raising religious issues because one of their own is victimized. So this perception, this mindset, that certain people, a certain group, that they are Muslims and they are Islam, that only when it happens to them, then it happens to Islam. When it happens to others, no, it's not an Islam issue. It's a Liberian issue. But when it happens to them, it's an Islam issue. That mindset has to be eradicated. And that is why we said no. We're not just going to address this issue. The day we address police brutality, we address it holistically. And we want the government to act. So that's one issue. The second issue on this issue of police brutality. When you have your son, and you advise your son, you say, the riot that is going to occur tomorrow, I don't want to see you there. And your son disobeyed you and went to the ground of the riot, and something happened to him. Then he starts saying, my father doesn't have time for me. No, he's not sincere. We advised the imam and the others involved on 2 different occasions. We took our time. Like I said, I was traveling, but I left everything and went there to ensure that the thing was peaceful. Look, allow the people to peacefully transfer the land. And they agreed. So in the first place, I want to know what the imam was doing there. Despite the advice of the national chief imam, why the imam that is supposed to be law-abiding in keeping with the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah, that is supposed to obey his own leader first and foremost, why did he go there despite the fact that we advised them not to go there to resist? So we want to know. It's just a question. We want to know, want to find out what he was doing there. Because we can't just condemn blindly. That is the issue on that one. On the issue of anti-CDC sentiment, etc. Julius, I don't know whether there is any religious leader in this country that helped the CDC government more than I did. I'll just give one example. There will be a time, because tomorrow I'm appearing on Prime Morning Drive, 9 o'clock, inshallah, and some of the issues that we will not handle here because of lack of time, we will handle them appropriately. Inshallah, tomorrow morning. In this government, if people wanted to protest against the Joseph Boakai government today, and Imam Ali Kryee tried to plead with them not to protest, oh, everybody will be saying, oh, you know, the mayor is on MPA, but that's why he's stopping the poor. People are suffering. He don't want them to protest. We did that more than once for the CDC government. You know, when the Liberian National Student Union, MRU Youth Parliament, Civil Servants Union, Teachers Association, health workers, disabled, decided to protest against Samuel Twe on April 14, 2021. I mean, that would have been the most consequential protest in modern Liberian history. Nobody intervened. I did. At my fish market office. Minister Twe was there, Jeff Koji was there, Minister Zoka West was there, Representative Solomon Joyce was there, and a host of other people. All these were there. The first day of Ramadan in that year, we took more than 4 hours, and the matter was amicably resolved. There was no protest. Mind you, if I had done something close to that in this government, oh, they will call me a dog. They will be describing me all kinds of ways. I did that for the CDC government. Tell me about anti-CDC sentiment. Who helped the CDC government during the time, the Save the State protest? You were here when Henry Costa and others were organizing Save the State protest. I was the one who said the protest is going to be held just a couple of days after Ramadan. We are still in the holy season. In fact, it will be on a Friday. It will disrupt worship activities. I said it. Even Senator Dillon then criticize me for saying this. If that was against the CDC government, tell me. But you know, this narrative that this man is against the CDC, he's work for bucket government, etc., helps to at least take care of the frustration of some people in certain political quarters. Because they want somebody to blame for their frustration. And so we have to educate the people. That must end on this one. Maybe another time during the show we'll discuss the other issues. You see, the Mandingo people, they are among some of the greatest people in the history of Africa. They created and ran the most successful and greatest empire in the history of Africa. We know them. The Mandingo people are very progressive people. In fact, recently I was honorably named a Dukle. And I honorably, proudly accept that. Because the Dukles actually are enlightened people too. I'm not saying others are not enlightened. My closest friends, two closest friends in life, when I discuss personally, Salia Dukle in Australia, Mohamed Sanoy in the United States of America. Yes, they are very progressive Mandingos. But it is time for those progressive Mandingos to rein in those backward reactionary elements among them who think that they are the custodians of Islam in this country and that they are Islam, like anything happens to them, they happen to Islam. If it happens to any other person, even if that person is a Muslim, it has nothing to do with Islam. That has to change, and we are not going to bow to that misrepresentation of Islam. We will not submit to it. So it is time for the progressive Muslims in this country to stand up, including the progressive Mandingos, to tell those people Islam is not a tribal religion. You talk about people discriminating against you, discriminate against other people too. And we have to address that. That is an issue we have to address. We always say it is a sensitive. It's sensitive. If we continue to say it's sensitive, this will continue to happen in this country. So it is up to everybody to decide. But I must say here, the days when people held Islam hostage because of personal or tribal reasons in this country, those days are gone. And they are gone forever. Thank you.
His name is Imam Ali Kryee. My name is Julius J. We had to give in to that request for him to lay the basis on the different things. Sir, are you angry? Are you hurt?
I am hurt.
Why?
I'm hurt because the truth is being, which word you used? The truth is being sacrificed. And when the truth is sacrificed, human progress is sacrificed.
But you should not be surprised. You are a religious leader.
Yes, I am. I am.
And you know a whole lot of things are happening to religious leaders.
I know. And that is why we are not surprised. And that is why we have to speak the way we are doing in order to combat this misrepresentation of facts. Because you see, sometimes when you try to be, cool. I remember one time I spoke somewhere and said, oh, there's not Imam Kryee that we know. But sometimes you want to be diplomatic. But it's like our people don't understand diplomacy.
Let me take you to the mosque and the land issue. Is the owner of the land a Muslim?
Yes, both parties are Muslims.
Was there any suggestion for a compromise where perhaps the mosque could buy the property and it did not go through, or what?
I don't know what it did before the Supreme Court ruling. But once the Supreme Court had ruled, there was nothing else anybody could do.
No, I mean, even after the ruling came up, during your intervention, stages, was it a suggestion made that perhaps we can buy the property?
That suggestion never came up. What we discussed, because the Imam was concerned about the mosque, and we said, will ensure that the mosque remains operational. Because that is the only thing that concerns Islam about this whole dispute. And that was our main concern. The rest of it is a personal issue.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
so the mosque issue we said,
There is a reason I'm asking this question because
Yeah.
I know issues of places of worship. They usually go to the heart of a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And was there a way to say, even if you cannot buy this place, we will ensure that we open a mosque in the same area? Because I think people living around there, that's their place of worship and all of that. Was there any intervention of such?
our intervention, and I said we met at the Muslim Congress, and in fact, almost everybody there were Mandingo, elders from both sides. And our compromise was we will make sure, I guaranteed that I personally will make sure that the mosque will not be touched, that in fact, the people who won the case that also have some good relationship with them, that will even discuss the modalities for the continued running of the mosque in line with what had been done previously. So that was the only compromise that we sought. Because
So that means people were living around there too.
Yeah, people were living around there.
That needed to move out.
that needed to move out.
Okay.
So that was it. But I was concerned about the mosque because the Imam's concern was the mosque. And I assured him, Imam, that mosque will not be touched.
So was it not touched?
I don't know. Because when we say touch, we mean that,
Like to break it down.
yeah, to break it down. You break it down or remove the people that are worshiping there or leading the mosque. And we said, look, the leadership of the mosque issue will even discuss that, will ensure that the status quo remains. That was our intervention, to ensure that we have peace. Because the Imam was concerned about the mosque he was leading. And we had to ensure that that was addressed. And that was our position.
There are critiques of the Imam being allegedly brutalized by police and all of that. And you just stated that if you told your son not to go to a certain place where there will be riot and he goes there, then it is up to him. Some may think that you're leaving him to hang dry.
I told you, the issue of police brutality, we decided to discuss it holistically. I would not deal with one issue. Like I said, a young man, those who talking about Islam and Muslims today, a young man, just last year in August, was murdered in Banjar, Mohammed Manoba, was a Muslim. This facility has the highest number of Muslims in this county. We never heard takbir. So we have to be a little balanced in the way we approach issues here. Nobody is more Muslim than the other. So if we up to now have not been able to address the issue of the murder of Mohammed Manoba, murder, I'm not saying harassment or brutalization. We're not able to discuss that. And nobody is condemning us for it.
No, but it was still up to you as
Yes.
as one of the head talked about that to have brought it to the conscience of your Muslim brothers and sisters. Did you do it?
That is why, as a leader, when certain things are happening, you now try not to pick and choose. You say, wait a minute, this thing is happening repeatedly. It happened the other day, it happened the other day, it happened the other day, it's happening now. What do we say? So let's wait and find the time to address all of these issues at once. So it will not appear like we are more sensitive to the plight of one person as against the plight of the other people. That is why we decided to halt. And that was my decision. I told the officials of the Imam Council, I said, this brutalization of citizens by Liberia National Police has to be addressed holistically at another time. Because it happened to other people who didn't talk. So we have to wait and address it holistically. That was our decision. So it was not like to say, okay, it's sweet for the man. I'll just give you an example. Because in the first place, we've been talking in this country, but you have never heard me calling for protest. I hate that. I'm telling you for the first time. When we're talking about holiday, the movement for Islamic holiday, Ayub Aswari and others, they went to the Capitol building. They asked me, they consulted me, Imam, we want to gather thousands of people to go to the capital. I said, don't do that. I said, just take a few representatives of some youth organizations and go there. Why? because I know what happens when religious conflict breaks out. You and myself, who may be innocent, will be victims in this country. Like for me, my siblings, my brothers and sisters are Christians. If there is any religious conflict in this country, where will I be? In fact, there was a time my sister asked me, during the Ulimo crisis, she came to me and said, so the way Mandingo and Cramp were fighting now, where will you be? Which side are you on? And I was looking at her, I smiled. She said, no, it's not laughing matter. You have to decide. So leave the Mandingo people for now until the war ends. I just laugh and say, oh, but I'm not a Mandingo man. She said, yeah, but that's the same thing. So when religious crisis comes here, even though we've been having some tension, we know there is prejudice against Muslims and Islam from the larger society. All of these things are there. But when it boils down to real religious crisis here, no, this place will be dangerous. That is why we try our best not to elevate issues to religious level. That was our main reason. Because if something happened to a Muslim person, it happened to a Bassa person, it's not a religious issue. It happened to a Gio person, it's not a religious issue. But the moment it happens to a Muslim person, it becomes a religious issue that Islamic religious leaders will have to comment on. You are elevating it to a religious crisis.
I get your point. I get your point. You were... I think I started hearing you from the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf days to the weird days. You were more vocal, as you yourself have admitted to. Is it that you've decided to metamorphose into being more diplomatic in approaching the issues, using backdoor channels, given the proximity you may have and whatsoever now? Or is your workings as a board member of the MPA hindering how you may have wanted to approach things, or is it forcing you to be diplomatic?
Julius, I think you are one of the most respected journalists in this country. And the fact that you belong to the elements that are gullible in our society is most unfortunate. And I'm saying this because your radio station covered my speech at the City Hall. In fact, you carried the headlines. Imam called for dissolution of national legislature. That was one of the most radical statements made against government in this country. From me.
I wrote about that.
You heard about that. And yet you are telling me, that I'm being more diplomatic.
No,
it's not a question.
No,
because you know the truth already. You know the truth.
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
Yes.
Let us be easy.
Yes.
You spoke about diplomatic approaches. You yourself spoke about it now. One, there is a perception in the public about you. It is that perception plus you're speaking about diplomatic approaches that I'm asking you a question of. It is not necessarily how I think about you. I am asking you questions, and when we spoke yesterday, I made it very clear that there are critiques against you.
I know
that you have become softer and other stuff on this government. So I'm asking you those questions. So I think it is unfortunate that you will classify me in a gullible category because I asked a question about perceptions against you.
Let me ask you. The speech or the statement written on July 30th against the president's declaration of a special holiday for prayers, did this sound diplomatic?
Well, I am the interviewer here, so I should be asking the questions.
Okay, all right. So I guess the answer is clear. It's obvious to the society, to the audience. Look, we talk about diplomacy. We also exercise diplomatic caution during the days of the CDC. The first 1 year of the Weir administration, we were not focused on anything. Check your records. In fact, we did something out of our way, things that we shouldn't have done, to be frank. And that was to join in the celebration of the first anniversary of the CDC government. We did at the 8 years. Religious leaders shouldn't be celebrating political parties for its anniversary in power. We did. You guess, if I had done something just resembling that today, that Unity Party has something, and I just went there to appear, even if I said nothing, we went there. Some Muslim leaders even made some statements, all kinds of statements. We were there. We shouldn't have done that. We did. So the first 1 year of the CDC, we were completely quiet. we cooperated with them, even in things that were not proper for us in some way. So you talk about diplomacy. Yes, there are times you are quiet. We welcome this unity party government with a fiery criticism. When the government took over, they talked about asset recovery. I was one of the first persons that made a very critical statement against the asset recovery policy. I said there and then that unless this asset recovery process covered the first UP administration, it's a mockery. That was my statement. You carried it. Your radio station carried it. That was just the inception of the UP government. We didn't do that to CTC. The only difference that I must say, that's why we respect some of our friends, because we have friends all over. This country is too small. We got friends in the CDC, we got friends in the UP and everywhere. Some of our friends were not happy. But we discussed it and agreed to disagree. And we remain friends. I think that is the difference. Where in some camp, when you disagree, then you become enemies. But I think maybe there's some mature people in the place there so that even though you disagree, they still accept you. When I issued a statement on July 30th, well, some people were bitter. Some people in the government were bitter. But we met and discussed, and we ended up laughing. Say, I'm doing my job. Oh, yes, I'm doing my job. I have to talk for my people. I have to speak out for justice. That's my job. And nobody can stop that. But we have a policy. And that policy is that we don't just talk anyhow. That is why you don't find me going from radio station to radio station every now and then commenting on social media. We have time. During the anniversary of the Imam Council, the annual assembly, we make a statement on national issues. During the 2 Eid, the Abraham Day and the end of Ramadan, we make statements. After that, we pause.
So, in terms of this whole thing about being on a government board, if a whole lot of followers of Islam in the country think, personally, as a person, I think religious leaders can serve in government if it doesn't hamper them. But if Muslims think their chief Imam Ali Kryee being on the board of an entity, if they have a perception that it is affecting the job that you are doing and they continuously express it, will you consider leaving it?
Who are the Muslims? You know, in the first place, we have to know who the Muslims are. Because a handful of frustrated people making statements here and there doesn't mean that the Muslim people are against it. Before, listen to me.
None of your co-equals have raised that again.
Listen to me. The day I criticized the asset recovery thing, that the next day they appointed me on the board. There was a lot of discussion within Imam Council cycles.
Okay.
There were people, a few people, who said, well, you have to think about it. That was all. That was the most negative thing about it. The overwhelming majority of the people in the Imam Council said I should take it. It took me some time. I was thinking. I didn't even respond. And we decided based on several factors to accept. The first is a moral question. Board meeting just about once in every 3 months. It's not something that takes your time. You are supposed to ensure that government works properly for the benefit of the citizens. They are not employing you to be a manager. They ask you to oversee the management to ensure that they do the right thing. You say no. Then when they do the wrong thing, you criticize them. You are a hypocrite. Morally speaking. And so, absolutely, those people are speaking out of ignorance. There's nothing in the Quran and the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad that says an imam should not occupy government position. That is another thing. But you see, Julius, I challenge anybody in this country to say, since I've been on the board, I have been involved with anything that looks like, smells like, or sounds like corruption. I think this is where people should be giving people credit. Look, anybody can criticize government. Anybody can criticize anything. But the most morally upright people are the people who, when they are allowed to serve, they serve diligently and in a very clean and decent way. You know, those who criticize us for accepting that, the only reason, you know, they are frustrated because they have not heard about scandal. That is what they would have been happy to see.
Okay. His name is Imam Ali Kryee. Taking some time out here, we have Al Noor Islamic TV, exclusive online TV, Tabla online TV, and Lata FM TV. They are all here carrying this as well. Let's take few calls from you before we come back to him to wrap up. This is the OK Conversation on OKFM 99.5, 777-700, 995, 555, 995, 995. The numbers to call and you will be through. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Good evening, Julius, and good evening to Imam Ali Kryee. Maybe some I call you from Ghana as well.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Julius. You know, I see a whole lot on Facebook. People try to denigrate the Imam, say all sort of things. But Julius, as a person and a Muslim, the first video, when I saw that video, people have others chanting Islamic slogan. I felt really terrible. So it is important that we establish what happened first before we condemn the Imam. It is very important. I didn't even know, Julius, that they have done a lot of work in the background to amicably resolve the situation before it resorted to what happened quite recently. So I just want to say thank you, Imam. Keep up doing a good job. There will always be people who will criticize. I don't care what you do.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so kindly. Let's go international. Let's see who's here. Welcome. Let's hear you. Someone is knocking you off. Hello. Welcome. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, Julius. Friend Gibson, I call from Paris.
Go ahead quickly.
Julius, I get 3 issues with the Imam. For me, I'm a Muslim, Julius. From my last 5 generations are all Muslim. So I'm a born Muslim. But if a religious scholar takes a government position, in many instances there will be compromise. Imam Kryee, can you condemn President Boakai on the station in that radio studio that he said he was not going to ride private jet and he rides private jet now? Will you condemn President Boakai? That you people, I understand to be corrected, I don't know whether you are part of the accusation. People who accused George, we are already 47.
Someone is knocking you off on the international line too.
That. Can you condemn the president on that, Honorable?
On what? Can you restate that? On what to condemn him? On what? Okay, you went up. Let's come on this end. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Thank you, Julius. My name is Mama C. Kaban.
Go ahead.
And I want to say assalamu alaikum to the Chief Imam. I have always respected the Chief Imam, and I do respect him even up to now. I also respect his stance on diplomatic approach at this point. That will be another conversation. But I respectfully disagree with him when he said that he will address the issue different or in different segments, wherein one of his colleagues, his fellow Imam, was being tortured. And you know, under our law, torture is a violation. The fact that the Imam was being apprehended in the custody of the police were under every mandate to have protected his right from being violated by citizens around, and that did not happen. He saw his fellow Imam were being brutalized and tortured and humiliated. Then he had a press conference. He disregarded that because he said someone died last year, somebody was killed last year, a Muslim was killed because people did not condemn it, so he will compile all of the cases. Do you know how many Muslims have been affected? Are we going to wait for all of the Muslims that are being affected before you speak to that?
Okay.
Then you should have just ignored the issue. Another point Julia raised, as the Chief Imam, you know very well how important the mosque is to our religion. You could, don't you think you could have talked in the process of mediating? Don't you think you could have talked to the party that won the case to at least allow the mosque to be there or assure the community that they're going to build a mosque instead of just talking it is the law? You're defending the law on one side, on the other side you're ignoring the law on grounds that the same thing happened last year because nobody thought you couldn't talk. Imam, I respectfully disagree with you, and that issue is inexcusable, honestly.
Thanks so kindly. Let's see who's on this end. Welcome. Let's hear you quickly.
Yeah, Judah, thank you again. I'm having Johnson calling from Tubu for the chair for the concerned librarian for
Quickly,
justice.
30 seconds.
We the both say, I think it's time now for Imam Kryee to resign as a here or as a chief Muslim. Because you can't be here for people and certain things happen in a country that everybody condemn. Then you, the leader, you come out to defend the government on it. That's been biased.
Okay, thanks so kindly. Let's see who's on this end quickly. 30 seconds.
Yeah, good afternoon, Julius. This is Ali Kryee, the youth chair of the ANC. Let me say greetings to the Imam in studio. You know, the Imam stressed a very important point, and I think Liberia should take it and run with it. The issue about elevating circumstances up to religious level, that is a very dangerous appeal that our people should deviate from. When there are things that happen in this country, whether police brutalizing people, we should address it as a police brutalizing Liberians. We shouldn't qualify or characterize them as religious attack or an attack against certain tribe. If an imam was brutalized, we should take it as an imam was brutalized, not as a characterization on Islam or a particular religious people. That is a dangerous appeal that should stop in this country.
Okay, thanks so kindly. Second to last one, quickly. Frank Gibson, I see you back here. Just go to your next 2 points quickly.
Yeah, Julius, I'm a Muslim and I'm one of those Liberians who believe that should he grant a Muslim holiday, because it will never happen. The Muslims themselves can create their own holiday on the day of Ramadan and on the day of Eid. If you look at the commerce system in Liberia, the commercial system, 90% are controlled by Muslims. If all of them close down their shops, their stores, back their taxes, automatically there will be holiday.
Okay.
You start wasting your time, you will never get a Muslim holiday in Liberia. It will not work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks so kindly as well. I want to squeeze in this overseas call from the U.S. Let's see who's here. Welcome. Let's hear you. Hello.
Hello, Julia.
Yes, you can go ahead quickly.
Hi, Julia. My name is Stephen Colley. I call from New York. I'm a Reverend, and I want to say hi to the Imam and thank you for coming on and talking to our people to tone down all the religious rhetoric and all the things that we want to put our country in danger in terms of coming together as religious people and live in harmony. We are one people and we are Liberians, despite the fact that we have a different religion. And secondly, Julius, all the time we Liberians sing a song led by the Ambassador Marin Cassette, Liberia lifted, righteousness in the government. Righteousness will not take place in the government if people who are righteous decide to stay on the sideline.
Okay, thanks so. Thanks so kind of. Yeah, sorry, Chief. Because of time, the news is on my back. Let me squeeze the final one in. Welcome. Let's hear you, Musa Hassanbility, political leader, CMC.
Thank you, Julius. I always good evening to the Chief Imam. I'm concerned that we are not doing justice to the issue. I don't know why when the police carry out brutality or they become inefficient in the discharge of their duty as it relates to two citizens, then we should make that a Muslim issue, really. This is something that happened to all Liberia. What many people don't know about is that this is a conflict between two Muslims. It's not a conflict between a Muslim and someone else. The pro and the con of this country, they are all Muslim people, Muslim fighting Muslim. It's a situation that happened with Liberians. The police action was bad, and we shouldn't have the chief imam answering questions about this. We should keep our chief imam, on issues that directly border on Islam. Because at the end of the day, everything we try to do and the way we try to do it, we must strengthen our religion. We must make sure that the religion is completely taken out of politics. Therefore, to ask the chief imam to answer a question on the issue of something that happened to Liberia is not a good idea. What happened was wrong. It's condemnable, but there's absolutely no reason to make Islam the center point of this crisis.
Okay.
Islam did nothing. Islam has no part to play in it, and Islam should not be dragged simply because the actors are Muslim.
Okay.
That is wrong and that is unfair.
Thanks so kindly, sir. We come back to you, sir. 1 minute, 30 seconds to wrap up.
1 minute, 30 seconds, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Liberia time. Okay, so thank you very much. I think it's been a good discussion, but I just want to emphasize a few points very clearly and emphatically. Like I said, and thanks to all the callers, we are moving forward in this country from the point of view of the National Imam Council of Liberia. All progressive Muslims in this country, and by that I mean they believe in Muslims, will continue to work for Islam and work for peace in this country. And no more will we allow anybody, any individual or group of individuals on any trouble or any other pretext using Islam as a cover to hijack the good image of the Islamic religion in this country. That will not be allowed again. Two, the issue of police brutality in this country will be addressed on another occasion where we will look at the issue holistically, how it's affected all Liberians regardless of their religious affiliations. And number three, anybody can do wishful thinking. We used to say, and we say again, today with some qualification, and I want everybody to listen and listen well. When I issued the statement in July, it was titled The Final Call. That final call was about the holiday for Muslims in this country. And we really mean it was the final call. We will work and do everything possible. We are working. People don't know the kind of work we are doing behind the scenes to ensure that the issue of holiday in the 21st century for Muslims in this country and ECOWAS nation, that issue is addressed satisfactorily. And I can assure you, if our conclusion is that the Muslim people are ready for holidays during Eid in this country, if that is what we arrive at, Julius, take my word, next year we'll have holiday for Muslims in this country. If our conclusion is that the Muslims are not ready, we will announce that the Muslim people are not ready. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks so kindly, sir, for accepting our invite. That's how we go. Tomorrow will be another day when we have Senator Snow here to talk about civil servants issues. My name is Julius J. Thanks to the entire team and the different online people who came in for this interview with the Imam Al Noor Islamic TV, exclusive online TV, Tapla online TV. So Tapla, go get online TV. Lata FM and TV. I'll soon get Julius TV too. We're out.